Hey guys, Mr. Mac here with another art lesson. And today we're going to be looking at some op art or optical art, which means that our art today is going to have this sort of cool optical illusion going on. So our artist focus for this lesson is a British artist called Bridget Riley, who creates these really cool optical illusions. I'll post links to her underneath so you can go and check it out for yourself. Right then, let's get cracking. You will need something to draw on, obviously, paper, sketchbook, sharp pencil. You're going to need a ruler for this, unusually for me, and some colour pens. You may also need a rubber, but it's optional. And actually you could use colour pencils instead of colour pens, it will work equally well. So you're going to start off by dividing your page in half diagonally. You'll see in a minute I don't actually end up using the whole page, so don't worry if your ruler, like mine, is not quite long enough. We're just trying to find the centre point at the moment, or make a centre point. And then you just want to do a whole bunch more lines that go through that centre point. I'm doing it evenly, so I'm just dividing in half, just keep dividing all my sections in half until I felt like I had enough lines. It's up to you how many you do, really. Doesn't really matter too much. The more lines you do, the smaller your sections will be. So it depends how fiddly you want it to be to colour in. The more sections you do, probably the more effective it will be. But again, it's up to you. So you can see I just divided my page off slightly there, where my lines weren't going all the way to the edge, just so I'm working more in a square than a rectangle now. Then I've started drawing a square just anywhere on the page. And then I've done another rectangle over here. You can do anything you like. You can just do a circle in the middle, or a square in the middle, or a heart in the middle, whatever you like really. I've done a few different shapes just so you can sort of see what they're all going to look like. Then it's worth just grabbing a bit of scrap paper to put underneath your page here, because especially if you're using something like Sharpies, they do tend to bleed through a little bit. You don't want to get in trouble for getting markers on your table. So I'm just making sure that all my lines go all the way up to the edge here, and then I'm going to start grabbing my pen. So I am using a Sharpie today just because they look quite nice on camera, but really you could use any felt tip pens, you could use colour pencils, anything that you can colour it in neatly with, doesn't really matter. And then you're just going to colour in alternating every other sort of stripe, let's call them stripes. Rays? Are they rays? You know what I mean anyway. But every time you get to one of your shapes that you've drawn, you need to stop, because we're going to do something slightly different when we get to the shape. So you can see I've been doing my ray at the edge, colouring it in neatly, and then once I've got to that square, I've stopped. However, I will then carry on when that ray continues past the square down there. When I'm colouring, I tend to do my outline of the shape that I need to colour in first, because then it just means when you do your colouring, you can go a little bit quicker, and you're not worried about the fact that you might go over an edge. So, done that one, skip one, move on to the next one. Again, avoiding your shape, just draw neatly around it, colour in the section. Make sure you get your little centre bits in there, you don't want to miss anything. All the way around, until you've coloured every other ray. So now we've coloured all the rays, we're going to look at what to colour inside the shapes. And all we need to do for this is we need to colour the opposite ones to the ones that we've already done. So you can see I'm marking out there, just so I don't make any mistakes, marking out which ones are the opposite to where I've coloured the rays. Put a little dot in them just to help me remember which ones to do. And then you can see I'm colouring inside the shapes, but opposite to where I've started doing the rays. This is what's going to give us that sort of weird 3D illusion. So there you go, it's as easy as that. You just got to make sure that you colour in the right sections. So it's alternating, colour one, leave one, colour one, leave one, and then it's the same for the shapes but the other way around. So when you go to colour in the shapes, leave one, colour one, leave one, depending on where you've started. After I filmed this, I did actually end up going over and just rubbing out all the pencil lines, because it just tidies it all up, and you don't want to be able to see where you've drawn those shapes anymore. You want the negative space to show that for you. Alright, this is optional bonus material. So if you want to try something a little bit more challenging, this is another optical illusion, very similar method. We're going to put a grid down, but instead of doing lines through the center diagonally, we're going to go chessboard style grid, and we're going to create sort of a fake 3D effect in the middle. So draw yourself out a grid. The bigger the squares you do, the less detail you're going to have, but the easier it is to colour it in. The smaller the squares, the more detail you're going to get, so the more you're going to show off the effect. But it's going to take you a bit longer and it's a bit more fiddly to colour it in. So you can see I've drawn a circle in the centre, and after I've drew my grid, I just rubbed out all the grid lines that went through the circle. And then all I've done is I've redrawn those lines, but instead of drawing them straight back on, I've curved them away from the middle. There's not really a better way of describing that, I don't think. You'll just have to try it for yourself, but have a look at how I've done it. You want to curve them outwards from the centre and then back down again to where they should have been going to. The lines in the middle of the circle curve a bit. The lines towards the top, bottom, left and right edges of the circle are going to curve more, almost making a circle themselves, more like an ellipse. And then you're just going to colour it in the exact same way you would colour in a chessboard, but when you get to colouring in the circle, you're just going to have to be a bit careful that you make sure you colour in the right squares, because they're not going to be squares anymore, they're going to make these sort of weird diamonds and rounded edge shapes. But watch how I do it. I think it's fairly self-explanatory. It might take you a couple of goes to sort of work it out. You could always do a test one with a colour pencil first, just so you're not wasting your good pens. Go slow, take your time. Once you're all done, get your rubber out, just rub out all those little pencil lines, just to give it the full effect, because you don't want to be able to see that you've drawn that circle on there anymore. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this op art lesson. Check out the links. Send me an email if you've done it. I'd love to see them. Stay safe. I will see you soon.